It's almost bizarre to actually think about the complete contradiction in the way in which journalists position themselves. They've gone from one extreme to the other. So they've gone from an administration where they saw it as their job, rightly or wrongly, to literally attack every single thing that the president did and pay zero attention to the slightest thing that may have cast him in the slightest positive, kind of positive light. I mean, that's not to suggest in any way that I think that Donald Trump was in any way good for America or for the world or for anyone. It was clearly a catastrophic presidency. But what it did is exposed the ideological underpinnings of the mainstream broadcasters and press, because, as you said, as soon as they got their man into power, all of that, we're going to speak truth to this administration, we're not going to be cowed, all of that, we are journalists, we don't just read off the script of the president, it's just out the window. And what's really interesting, I think, about the question, or the subtext of the question, is just how unable mainstream news organizations and institutions are to learn lessons from the very recent past, right? So the classic example of this, was if you go back to 2004, when the New York Times printed this, remarkable front page apology, basically saying, not only did we get the story of weapons of mass destruction wrong, we failed in our duty as journalists to properly interrogate the government. And we are very, very sorry. It was about 6 years later with the WikiLeaks Cablegate, where they just did exactly the same thing. They almost en masse read off the government script. They completely overlooked the disclosures within those leaks that had huge public interest significance. And they fell into exactly the same trap. And it just happens over and over again. The media get exposed. The financial crisis is another example. They're exposed. Some journalists kind of, come out and acknowledge it and apologize and whatever else and reflect. And then they just carry on doing the same thing. Unsurprising.